Hey, what's going on? I'm Russ, and I had a really cool conversation with a ROCKSTAR Dividend investor whose new album, Bloodlines, you can find linked below. And we talked about how he likes to invest in other people's bad habits, some top positions in his portfolio, and some dividend stocks that he's buying right now. Before we get to the chat, don't forget that you can sign up for my free weekly newsletter in the description below, or head on over to dapperdividends.com. And if you'd be so kind, consider tapping that thumbs up button so we can get more guests like Jonah on the channel. So Jonah, man, it is finally awesome to have you here, and kind of like Mr. Rogers, who are the people in your neighborhood? Well, you are in our neighborhood, and dude, so very happy to have you on the channel finally.
Russ, thank you so much for having me. It is an honor to be here. I've been a fan. Let's talk about music. Let's talk about money. Some of the best things in life, right?
Dude, I'll drink to that. I'll drink some caffeinated tea to that.
Cheers. I just have some of my Brita filtered water.
Too early in the day for anything else, I think. So yeah, let's just real quick, just who are you? Where are you from? I mean, like I always say, we don't have to go back to Ellis Island. So who is Jonah?
Well, I was born and raised in Vermont. I've lived all over the USA and a few other countries as well, Australia being one, Denmark. I'm a professional musician. I'm a keyboardist, pianist, composer. I play in 3 symphonic metal bands in Europe. I play in Pyramids. I've been in that band for 22 years, and we're on AFM Records. I play in Catalyst Crime. That's my band based in Germany. I've been in that band for 5 years or something, 4 years, and we're on Massacre Records. And then I have a new band that I actually can't even discuss yet because I'm coordinating with the record label as far as announcing it. It's a big deal for me, and I'll be super excited to get that out there. That's what I was in Denmark last week shooting a music video for.
Yeah, you were telling me a little bit about Denmark, that it was your coldest shoot ever. And for a lot of us regular working stiffs, I mean, how is that? Just you play in metal bands for a living. I mean, are you living the dream every day?
It feels that way. I'm also a studio musician, like for hire kind of. So I work with a lot of bands from all over the world, mostly from Europe, that hire me to compose orchestration for their albums. Example, the new Leaves Eyes album, which is coming out on AFM Records this spring, I believe. They hired me to compose orchestration for their whole album. That's like a epic Viking metal band. I love what I do. I'm deeply passionate about it.
Ooh, Viking metal. And of course I can't remember their name. They opened up for Ghost. They were on tour with Ghost this summer, opening up, and we saw them.
Amon Amarth.
They're the big, like they had the Viking ship, and it was nuts, dude. I had never seen them. Really not that familiar with them. I got a question. With all these people you've met in the music industry, to you, who is the most famous person that you've met or played or worked with?
Probably, I guess Dave Ellefson from Megadeth. I've worked with him. Or Tina Guo, she's Hans Zimmer's cellist. She does like all the Hans Zimmer live stuff, and she plays on a lot of the big movie and video game scores and that kind of thing.
We talked about that before. So Dave Ellefson used to play. He's known from being the bass player in Megadeth, and that's back to my high school days and my Navy days.
Sure.
I was just always a big fan of Megadeth. Enjoyed seeing them, and I got to see the Misfits when they reunited, open up for Megadeth. So for me, that was like one of my seminal concerts that I will always remember at the Aragon Ballroom in Chicago. So for those of you that are familiar and may have been there, interesting thinking that you've spent a lot of time in Europe. We can get to that. I don't know if that influences your investing at all, but
it does.
When did you start investing? How long have you been on this investing journey?
April 6th of 2020 was the day that I bought my first stock. So that's my investing anniversary. And so the pandemic crash had just happened. A dude that I work with was like, oh, hey, Jonah, you should download this app on your phone and buy this stock. I think it was Halliburton or something. So at first it was just like, I was like, oh, okay. And so I bought $100 of it. And then I just watched it go up. And I'm like, oh, so this is how easy this is, right? I guess, But of course it was like post-pandemic. So everything was at 10-year lows or whatever. And so I just kept buying stocks and just watching them go up and up. There was one day where I took a nap in the afternoon, and I woke up and I looked at my phone, and it was like, you've received a dividend from some dumb stock that I own that I probably don't own anymore. And I was like, what is a dividend? I had no idea. So I started looking it up on YouTube. I'm like, so these stocks just give you money for just, And I was like, oh my God, how have I lived 37 years of my life and not known about this? And so, yeah, and then my YouTube curiosity led me to you and Ryan and Darth Dividend and Dividend Bowl. And I used to watch a lot of the Bowtie guy.
Joseph Hogue.
Yeah. I've sort of just become obsessed with, infatuated with this concept of financial freedom. The way that it ties into my music career is just that I've made so many great friends all over the world who are always like, oh, Jonah, come visit, come visit and do this and that and the other. And I just want to be able to make enough from dividends that I don't have to work, like that I don't become a slave to anything. I bartend part-time also 4 nights a week as well to supplement my income and to create more income to be able to then invest and have the dividend snowball rolling and everything like that. So yeah, I just want to be able to spend the last half of my life traveling and doing music as I see fit.
Dude, you nailed it. It's because when we're trading hours for dollars, that can be okay. But if we just spend everything we got, then we're going to constantly and always be trading hours for dollars. And I always use that quote from Warren Buffett that says, if you don't find a way to make money while you sleep, you're going to work until you die. But for him, and you use the word snowball again, there's a big book that I've been slogging my way through called The Snowball. It's about Warren Buffett. And dude, he's essentially been retired since he was about our age. I mean, what he does now, it's not work to him. It's like you said, man, we just can't, we have to have some kind of income, something coming in passively, I think, unless you can work until you die. But who wants to do that? Where's the fun in that? Maybe you're going to play keyboard till you die, though, right?
I will. Yeah, I will. I mean, as a musician, if I was relying on music for 100% of my income, then I'd be having to take jobs that I didn't want to do. And it feels good to turn things away, to say no. And I finally, started doing that over the last few years. I don't want to play country music or, like stuff like that. I've done like rap beats before for, and it's just not, it's easy and whatever, but it's just not my passion. So I just want to be able to focus on the parts of my career that I really enjoy and that people know me for.
You made me, I always listen to, do you ever check out the Dividend Talk podcast?
Who does that?
So you have to, it's Derek, there's 2 guys on Twitter. That's how they met. Engineer My Freedom. His name is Derek. He's near Dublin, Ireland. And then European Dividend Growth Investor. He is the second half of it, and he is over in Poland right now. He remains anonymous, so I'll keep his identity anonymous. But sure. Yeah, they're European centric. They talk a lot of U.S. investing, but they do a lot of European. They'll do meetups and they talk European investing. They have a blog. So thinking about that European thing, when you're over in Europe, what do you get ideas? Is there any European things that you invest in? Anything like that?
Not at the moment. There's like some foreign taxes you have to pay on your dividends, which is also why I've avoided Canadian stuff as well, because it's just like more taxes. I don't know. I know a lot of people in the community are big on the Canadian banks and all that.
This guy.
But I do have a friend in Denmark that I met on the Dividend Growth Investing Facebook page. And it's interesting to see what it's like for someone from Denmark to be investing in seemingly mostly American companies. And we've had some good conversations.
What's been like one of your biggest lessons that you've learned throughout doing this whole thing?
I mean, invest in what you know is a good one. Don't pick your flowers to water your weeds. That's one, right? That's a Buffett thing, isn't it?
I think Peter Lynch, maybe. But
okay. Yeah.
Dude, it's close. Honestly, it could be, I've put it this way. I've seen it attributed to Peter Lynch, but I've never heard the man say it. But I think it's from his One Up on Wall Street book. But either way, it's just such a great quote. And dude, I've been so guilty of doing that, selling things that were at all-time highs to put it into something that was way beaten down. And then you look back and it's like, oh, so I sold part of a good business or all of a good business to buy more of a business that's struggling. Like, that was dumb. What the hell was I thinking? But again, it's right. Part of the lesson, right?
I was way up on ABR, Arbor Realty, and I had a big position in that. And I was like, well, I sold all of that and put it into Visa. And I just bought this huge chunk of Visa in December, which I'm already really happy about. So things like that are just money printing machines. I read that like Visa makes like $4 million an hour. So, all right, here are Jonah's 2 my philosophies. Be smart enough to listen to people that are smarter than you. right? So that's like a threshold. So it's like you have to like be like, okay, I don't know anything, but I'm smart enough at least to listen to people like Warren Buffett or Russ from Dapper Dividends or Ryan Williams, right?
Don't link me in the. My God, that's okay. I'll take it, but yeah, I mean.
So there's that, right? And then you might think this is funny, but I like to invest in other people's bad choices, but without making them myself. Example, Starbucks, right? So I own Starbucks stock, but I try not to go to Starbucks, right? There's always like a line of SUVs around the Starbucks building for the drive-through because all these people are addicted to caffeine and sugar, and they're spending $10 for a cup of coffee, whatever. But it makes more sense to me to invest in their habits than have those habits myself and take all the money I'm saving from not going to Starbucks myself, but instead investing in the company. So I'm getting a piece of that action.
Dude, I love that. But I mean, that's almost anything you can think about. Starbucks, I mean, Visa, right? You just said Visa.
I have Visa
People
written
overspend.
down, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, there's just so many. Like we invest in, you've heard us talk about Altria, so we're a little conflicted on that because we think that, in my mind, somebody can go once a week or twice a month to McDonald's. It's not healthy for you, but you can, I think responsibly enjoy it. But I don't know, and not be harmed. But I don't know how you responsibly enjoy cigarettes and not be harmed by that tobacco, and also, by the way, my God, is it expensive. I was at a gas station yesterday. The guy in front of me was buying one pack of, he said, Marlboro Reds or Marlboro Light Reds, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. It was almost $16 a pack before tax. My mind was, wow, that is nuts that you will pay that for that. But yeah, so
That's
what other, so what other do you got there for your bad habit investing?
Well, yeah, I mean, just like back to Visa, for example, like I pay off my credit card every single Monday. So I keep my balance at zero no matter what, but I invest in Visa stock. And I know that, credit card debt is a problem in America, and it's not going to go away because people spend money on things that they can't afford. So there's that. I don't invest in Altria because my mom passed away from cancer when I was really young, not from smoking. She just had cancer. And then I've had other, close people in my life pass away from cancer. So it's like I do have a line that I won't cross as far as sin stocks go. Vici Properties, I like that one. People gamble, so they're going to gamble regardless of whether I invest in it or not. People are creatures of habit, and as a bartender, it's been illuminating, and I've learned so much about that. The same people come to the bar every single day, and they drink and they eat food that's bad for them, and they gamble because we have this thing called pull tabs here. I don't know if that's a thing in Chicago.
Yeah, it's not in Illinois, but when we go up to Wisconsin, they have it. And shout out, it's called Hosed on Brady. It's right next to a firehouse. Actually, after we saw Ghost, my wife and I went there. It's called the 5-alarm special or something, some firehouse special where you get, I think, a PBR, a shot of maybe Jack Daniels, and a pull tab for $3 or $4, something like that, $5. But yeah, it's addicting, those pull tabs.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to put a picture up on them because a lot of people aren't gonna know what we're talking about. So that'll be
right.
On
yeah,
the screen.
I had never heard of them. I moved to Minnesota 12 years ago, and I was like, "What is this?" And yeah,
Pray tell, why did you move to Minnesota? I'm sorry, because it just seems so damn cold up there, and that's coming from somebody from Chicago.
Right. Well, I mean, I grew up in Vermont, so it's not that different. I came here for music. I had a band that was based here at the time, and then I was also going to executive produce this other band. Music's taken me all over, but I really like Minnesota. The people here are great. And
nice. Sorry to derail you. So back to the pull tabs and Vici.
Yeah, right. So that's just our gambling thing here. I mean, there's a Treasure Island casino like 45 minutes from where I live. Yeah, instant gratification, right? So people go for the pull tabs here.
Vici's been buying up bowling alleys too. For those of you that don't know, Bolero, they've been buying. And funny, after this, we're gonna go bowling, and my sister-in-law will not go to a Bolero because she says they're just way too expensive. So part of me it's like, well, Vici owns them. I don't know which, if they own the one by us, but it's kind of interesting to watch a Vici that's expanding past gambling. They want to get into family entertainment, family experience things. They want to get into water parks, things of that nature. And it's just fun. I'm a big fan of Vici too. I do own Vici. And their CEO, Ed Petoniak, I really do like him, and I think it's got a good growth vector on it, and they're trying to go in the right direction. And I mean, you can only buy so many casinos, I suppose, right?
Maybe, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of them out there for sure. Don't they make their tenants sign like 45-year leases or something too? So
Correct. I don't know the extent on it, but I should know that. But yeah, they do have long-term leases with their tenants, and they have rent escalators built into those kind of to, mimic inflation and to keep pace with that. So just great business being a landlord and
right.
things like that. So looking at Sin stocks, drawing a line, that's just so cool, man. Quick question, is there any, and I don't even know this, I should have looked, but is there any kind of musical stocks? I don't know if Gibson or Fender, I don't know if somebody owns them. Have you ever looked into that? Maybe Casio or...
The thoughts never crossed my mind. I think honestly because the music industry just continues to be on the decline. Kids today, they don't pay money for music, so they don't value it. And I'm surprised that Guitar Center has still found a way to stay in business. And I've noticed the keyboard department at Guitar Center keeps shrinking and shrinking.
Before we recorded, we hopped on and I was telling you how my 16-year-old daughter loves the keyboard and plays keyboard. And you reminded me of just job skill in anything. You want to do something that there's not a lot of people. And you were saying that if you were a guitar player, it'd be really hard to find work. But for a metal keyboard player, there's not a lot of you out there, so you are able to find work and hold employment. So that goes with anything, just in an industry. If it's not it has to be in demand too, right? You can't.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't just stay being a saddle maker, the turn of the century. But yeah, that's just a great supply and demand thing, and it reminds me of stocks. I mean, stocks that are in demand, there's a limited supply, so they're going to be in demand, and the price is just eventually going to go up on those.
It's better to be a big fish in a small pond. Be good at something that most people are not.
Good advice. Just good, solid advice, Jonah. So what are some of your top positions that you got in your portfolio? Maybe your top 2 or 3?
I'll tell you, I wrote down my top 10. Main Street Capital, Visa, Lowe's, O Realty Income, Starbucks, Broadcom, which has been my single best investment. And I'm just like, do I just keep buying Broadcom? They just keep going up, and their dividend growth is insane. Their CAGR, sorry. Microsoft, Vici, American Tower, and I did start a position in Chevron just because they're around 52-week lows right now. And so I'm just going to hold on to that one for a while until, I don't know if it'll like shoot up because of the election or whatever is going on. So that was more of a shorter term play, but yeah, those are some of my biggest.
Chevron I like. I think oil's going to be with us for a while. We talked about, again, European dividend growth investor. He's still big into oil, and he says the best time to buy oil stocks is when everybody hates it, when everybody says that this is the end of oil, they're going away, and he says it's going to be many, many, many years until oil. And it's in so many products other than gasoline, although that is a huge part of it.
Yeah, there's blood in the water, so just send in the sharks, right? It was like I had been investing long enough to know, when the regional bank thing was going on last spring and everyone was freaking out, I was like, okay, so I'm just going to buy a bunch of regional bank stocks then. And I'm so glad that I did, and that I knew that just to buy the fear, essentially.
Yeah, I did the same thing. And the way it turned out, I think I heard the phrasing that it wasn't a banking problem. It was a problem with some banks, if that makes sense. So it wasn't just, I remember Prudential, because I've held Prudential for a while. They got hammered. Just almost anything in the financial sector was hammered and beaten down. I remember I should have went more, but with Main Street Capital, man, I got around 150 shares. I bought around $37 a share, and I was hoping to buy more. I wanted to get that to 200. Same thing with Ares Capital. That was at 17-ish, and it's just recovered. That's the problem with these things. These damn things, when you get the dip, you got to catch it, and you don't know how long it's going to be down there until the darn thing recovers so quick.
I love Main Street Capital. That's a stock that I've owned since like summer of 2020, something I got into right away when I discovered dividend investing, and it's just been this like rock in my portfolio. And I love the special dividends they've been paying too quarterly. It's insane.
Yeah, and the thing about Main Street too, because that's one of our considerations. We were talking about Altria, and my grandfather died of lung cancer. My wife has lost people because of, well, these are older people back in the day, and you got to cut them a little slack when there was doctors on TV saying, they smoke Pall Mall for vitality and their health. It's easy to see why some people, when your doctor's smoking and saying you should do it too. Yeah, we know better nowadays. And I was thinking about switching Altria into Main Street Capital because and that might be a little yield chasing there, but I'd like to keep a higher yield. And the way you can think of it is Main Street Capital, they help provide funding to small businesses to try and grow to become big businesses. So they're almost performing way more of a societal good than an Altria is with tobacco, which, is potentially a melting ice cube. Less people, using tobacco products as well. Do you know anybody nowadays that smokes cigarettes? Because I struggle to think of anybody.
I mean, I do know a few people. They're, like some of the people that work at the bar where I bartend still do. Their dedication, I mean, aside from the ridiculous cost of cigarettes or whatever, but their dedication to smoking, like standing outside in sub-zero Minnesota temperatures. What, dude? Pick a new vice or something. It makes no sense at all.
A vice where you can be a little warmer, I guess.
Yeah, coffee. I'm a coffee guy.
Yeah, I don't know. I never got into coffee, but we know people that. There you go, coffee. So I Starbucks, right? But I won't pay.
Right.
We were at my daughter also plays volleyball. We were at a tournament a few weekends ago. And I think the number was, I tweeted it out, I think 25% of the parents had a Starbucks cup because it started at 7:38 in the morning. It was pretty early. So I couldn't believe how many Starbucks cups I was seeing of people that had just stopped at Starbucks on the way to the tournament. And I was pleased as punch as a Starbucks shareholder. But that's a great thing. It's a great point you illustrated there with investing in people's bad habits. I freaking love that. That might be the title of this, What are you buying right now then? What, you've listed some of your top positions, but what's something that you've bought recently and you're most interested in?
Well, I have a friend that works at United Healthcare. And so I started a position in United Healthcare. I knew that was a great stock anyway, because I see people talking about UNH all the time and like the different groups and things. But he was saying it's a really good idea to buy UNH towards the end of March specifically. And I was like, okay, well, he had this explanation for it or whatever. And then so I looked at the historical data and I was like, wow, he's right. It's like there's always a dip, in February or March or whatever. And then it kind of shoots back up. I don't know if that qualifies as insider trading, but you're welcome.
No, that would be just public knowledge available. No, it's insider for this channel for us, but it's not. That would not qualify. And that's kind of one of the funny things that you just triggered in my brain was that if it's data that everybody can see, then it's not a secret. It's not an advantage if everybody knows about it. And that's the hard part about investing. And it can be tricky, but the future, right? So that's the quantitative. If you can quantify it on a spreadsheet or on a stock chart or anything like that, it's already known information. But the qualitative, meaning the things that we can't see that haven't happened yet, that we think are going to happen, I think that's where the best money is made. And UNH, man, that's a solid one. That's always one of those I wish I would have held on to. Funny story, back in maybe 2019, I was swing trading. So if you remember my story, I started penny stocks around 2017. I remember thinking, you know what? I can figure this stock market thing out. I'm going to spend a couple months and then I'll be able to quit my job because I'll be a stock trader. So stupid. It started with penny stocks. Then graduated to swing trading. And it was in that swing trading phase, I located UNH. And of course, that was the most I ever put into a stock. I want to say it was 200, just over 200 a share maybe. And I remember that I couldn't believe I was buying 10 shares, putting a little over $2,000 into one thing. And that was a little unnerving to me, whatever. When you swing trade, you look for levels. When it hits that level, you get out and then you look for another one. And I think it was UNH in that time that I received the dividend. I was same thing like you, man. I was like, the hell is this dividend? What the hell is this? And that was one of the things that kind of put that seed in my mind that started growing. But so UNH just started buying. What else? Anything? I know you said Chevron.
Yeah, I mean, I guess my most recent big purchases were Chevron, UNH, and Visa was my biggest. And I actually bought more. I brought more Broadcom. So it's the biggest position in my portfolio, probably around 10 to 12% of my portfolio is Broadcom. But they just
Yeah,
raised their dividend again. They raise their dividend every December, and it's
solid
like
company.
so insane. I'm trying to be more aggressive, I guess, with some of my risk and stuff like that, because I don't want to retire whatever when I'm in my 60s. I'm 40 right now. I'd like to be financially free by like 45. And so I'm kind of trying to think about like ways that I can do that. I mean, Microsoft never stops growing also, and with the AI thing coming in, and I know they have a hand in that.
And we don't know if it's going to be like as far as the tech wreck that happened back with the bubble and valuations being crazy. So I don't know. Nobody knows what's going to happen. And Broadcom has certainly been one that I've always felt was expensive and too overpriced and overvalued. And look how couldn't have been more wrong. Could not have been more wrong about that.
Would there be a stock split then? Probably eventually, right? With it, if it just keeps.
Maybe, maybe. I know Berkshire doesn't ever want to, they've never done a stock split because they just want people to keep holding. They don't want to get people just trading in and out and doing things like that. I know they started their B shares, but yeah, and really for those of you watching with a stock split, all that means is that they're just making the pie is the same. If it's a pizza cut into 4 pieces, and now you have that same pizza and you cut it into 8 pieces, it didn't grow, it didn't shrink. There's just more pieces and they're just smaller. So it makes it a little bit more palatable to people, because if you see a $800 share price and they split, and they do like a 4-for-1, then it'll be $200 a share. So it'll be more. I think I'm bad in math. I'm pretty sure that's right. So what are your plans going forward? What's your you talked about not wanting to work forever and maybe being a little more aggressive.
Not working a normal person job,
There you go.
That's what I call my bartending gig. It's my normal person. But yeah, I mean, I do enjoy bartending, and like everybody in this town knows me and follows my career and stuff like that with music and everything. So it is fun. But
do you want to shout out the bar you bartend at?
Yeah, it's the Carboni's Kitchen and Pub in Cottage Grove, Minnesota. I have had people bring in like my albums for me to sign before and stuff like that, which has been pretty funny. As far as investing goes, I'm just going to keep watering my good flowers, I guess. I do have a separate portfolio for the more like kind of reckless stuff. Full disclosure, like I've got a little crypto in there and some of that, you're going to laugh at me, but a few of the yield max things, which of course are a horrible idea.
No, dude, hell no, I wouldn't laugh at you. They've actually, I've heard a lot of people recommend that if you get that itch that you want to go after something crazy or you want to buy this hot penny stock or whatever, that you should literally have 5% or no more than 10% maybe of a whole separate portfolio that's completely just your play portfolio. You're just you can make some YOLO bets in it. No, I would encourage that because it lets you scratch that itch while not messing with like the rock, the foundation of your financial future. So I think that's freaking cool. And who knows, man, yeah. You could just hit on one of those and look what it could do. It could be insane.
Well, yeah, I was like way up on Coney and I'm like, oh man, this is so great. And then of course it just like ate the S word and died real quick. And I'm like, oh, what was I thinking? I should have gotten out when it was like 30 a share or whatever. Anyway. But so like, on the topic of the covered call ETFs, I always keep my ear to the ground in that world too. Like there's some, YouTube channels that I follow. They're like Entrepreneur Investor. I like him, and THB Finance. Dividend Bull, I would say, is kind of in the middle of the two worlds somehow. Like he does a lot of like BDCs and reads some of the higher yield things. But my plan is, what I have in my mind is that when I'm ready to like transition from doing music and bartending to just exclusively doing music and being financially free or whatever, is that I'm going to sell off some of my positions and switch them into things like JEPQ or SVOL, JPI, SPYI, whatever, like, those kinds of things that are sitting in the, the 12 to 17% yield range that pay monthly. So then it would just be like getting a paycheck. It's just like the stability of them. I think that by the time that I'm ready to do that, which will probably be in, hopefully 5 years, maybe 10 tops, there'll just be more of a history with those kinds of things. I can feel a little bit better about like selling off my colossal Microsoft position and putting it into JEPQ. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I think you're looking for income. The Income Factory book by Stephen Bavaria comes to mind. And yeah, it's like you're not worried about capital appreciation. You're not worried about the stock price going up, but you just want that income to keep coming in and keep passing through. Dude, I got a question for you. So,
Sure.
do you get any kind of royalties off your music? Is there anything that you get royalty checks from?
The thing is that I play on 5 to 10 albums a year, average. Some of those albums are my own bands. Most of them are other people's bands that hire me. So like I have like an ASCAP. It's like, yeah, royalties, and it just gets deposited directly into my bank account. It is not a lot of money. It's if I was trying to live off of that, every now and then I'll get like 25, $50 or something, and it pays quarterly. So it's just like whatever. I just throw it into my stock portfolio. But
It's not like Seinfeld when he was getting all those 1 penny checks from Japan and he got thousands of them and got hand cramps trying to sign all the checks for a penny.
That sounds hilarious. I've only seen maybe like 10 Seinfeld episodes in my life.
Oh, it's one of my favorites.
I'm so sorry. I know you you Gen Xers and you're Seinfeld, right?
Is that what I am? I don't even know what I am. Am I a Gen Xer? I don't even know.
If you were born before 81, I think, yeah.
I sure was. Last time I checked, I was born in good old
Right.
1978, right when the punk scene was really starting to take off. And speaking of that, obviously, there's a lot of people that will say like you're only a true punk if you were in the 77, if you weren't there type of thing. A slight shift. If somebody wanted to get involved in the music industry, what piece of advice would you have? Like, is it hard to do nowadays with anybody that can just pick up their phone and start a YouTube channel, or what is it like nowadays?
Before I answer that question, I just want to tell you, and I feel like this will give me the I'm cool with Russ card. I played at CBGB's before it went down, maybe a year or two before they like dismantled it and did whatever. But that's where like the Ramones famously got their start, and some other artists and everything like that. So, okay.
Place. Yeah, sorry. I don't want. You just opened up something I could go on a 20-minute tangent on. So we'll just end it there. I will say I'm envious, and that is freaking awesome. So
yeah, Ryan might even think that was cool because he's into that old school stuff. Music industry wise, and just to quickly retouch the thing about the royalty thing or whatever. Mm-hmm. I make my money in the music industry being paid basically a commission fee to write songs for and play keyboards and orchestration on other bands' albums. That's how I make my music income. The royalties and stuff like that is a joke. Or like, I mean, if I recently got a record deal, so the label gives you X amount of dollars for an album budget and music videos and tour support if you're lucky. That's more of how I make my money. It's just like getting paid upfront for like
you have to pay everybody else, right? If you have any kind of crew, you have to pay all that, correct?
Well, I'm pretty self-contained, which is nice. Okay, advice for people that want to get started in the music industry. Get really good at something that very few other people are good at. Example, the keyboard, because it is a dying industry. People just use their laptop for that kind of stuff these days. And always put your best foot forward. Don't put out music that sounds like crap or looks like crap, because the visuals are important too. You want to always present a complete package. And this is what I always suggest to all of my session work clients that hire me, that are like what I call vanity projects, where it's like a guy that he works in an office building, but he's a big metal fan and he wants to make an album. So he's going to hire Jonah Weingarten to play on his album, or, whatever other guys, they're European based, because he wants to make an album. I'm like, hire good musicians to play on your album, hire someone that's going to make it sound good. So the mix is really important. And then you essentially want to create like an electronic press kit, like a web page splash, where you have fantastic artwork and a nice bio written up, some of your music that sounds great, and then you get like killer band photos. And so that's the thing, is you can't really cut that many corners and still be taken seriously by a record label, because record labels get 1,000 demos or whatever in their inbox every day. Yeah. It's easy to weed out the crap. And so, yeah, just put your best foot forward, but in every way that you can. And yes, hire me to play on your album or write songs for you, because that will be a good idea.
Beautiful. So if anybody wants to contact you, I'll have it in the link below, but where would they do that?
I have a website, JonahWeingarten.com. My band's pages are puramaze.com, catalystcrime.com, or you can hit me up on Facebook. Just send me a friend request if you want. Say you saw me on Dapper Dividends. I have my personal page, and then I have a fan page too, the Jonah Weingarten one.
I will link to your website in the description below. So, man, This was good. We'll have to have you on again. We'll talk. Maybe do a live.
Yeah.
You guys see you in the live chat a lot, which is fun.
Yeah, definitely. I'd love to do one of the things too, where maybe like with you and Ryan and Darth or something like that would be awesome. Just to have a music guy thrown into the mix. Yeah,
I'll talk to them about it.
that'd
Absolutely,
be
man.
cool.
Well, good to have you in the loop. I'm happy that I was your first. We'll see you around, and I hope if you want to contact them, you do. So, thank you once again, Jonah.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. This was really fun. I start every morning watching YouTube videos and drinking my Starbucks K-Cups that I get at Costco. So
Beautiful.
Starbucks investing in Costco. It's like I'm double dipping, right? And saving money.
Yeah, man.
And I watch you guys on YouTube.
I appreciate it. So thank you for that. Thanks for coming on, and for everybody watching. We'll talk to you in the next video.